Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. Hope you guys have had a great day out there, having a great evening, and a great start to your work week. We're rolling on through it a couple more days. It'll be September 1st. I know I'm grateful for that. I love this time of the year coming up, September, October, and the rest of the year. It's just my favorite time of the year. But it's hurricane season, and that is what we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to talk about the tropics, give you the latest and greatest information from all the model runs today. Take a look at what's going on out there right now. Talk about the trend that has maintained that we've been talking about over the last two videos, and just try to figure it out. You know, it's a weird season. It's a below average season right now, but it's hard to call it below average until we get to the very end of it. You know, all of a sudden a match could be lit, and suddenly we're dealing with some high end activity. But for right now, we got some activity out there, but nothing is threatening. But we've got to talk about some areas, and places like Bermuda definitely need to watch out. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I really appreciate the support over the last 2 weeks. It's been phenomenal, almost 1,000 subscribers in a 2-week period. So the growth has suddenly skyrocketed, so I really appreciate you guys trusting my videos and liking my videos, and 95% of the comments being all positive, so I really appreciate you guys. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. I'm actually asking for prayers for myself. Nothing crazy going on, nothing bad at all, but occasionally I even ask for prayers. We all need prayers, right? But I live in a house that was made in the 80s, and for people who've been following along throughout the summer, know that I've talked about on and off, asking for prayers. It just seems like I'm in a season right now where it seems like one or two things break in my house a month. So it's just been one thing after the other, and I'm almost kind of mind tricking myself that I almost know that something is around the corner. So I'm just trying not to have any anxiety about it or anything like that. But I think overall, my mindset has matured, so I'm able to deal with those things. But, we're human, and we fight through things. But luckily, I got my health. I got an amazing family. I'm blessed with many things. So just asking for a little bit of a prayer request just for lowered anxiety, not to worry about the things that I can't handle. But anyways, let's get rolling here. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, it's always personal here. It's always a family atmosphere. And we always got each other covered here. But let's talk about the tropics right now. 2 p.m. update. Another update will come in about an hour. But I don't expect much of a change. In fact, nothing's changed from this morning. There's a 40% chance of this wave to develop. It seems like there's been an X in that one location for about 4 days now. And then, it seems like there's been an X in this location for about a week now. But this still has an 80% chance to become a depression or a tropical storm, which would be Danielle. And guys, what's incredible is it dates all the way back to 1941. We have not had a period stretching from July 3rd to August 30th that we have gone with no tropical activity, no named storm since 1941. And it's really just incredible. You got to go all the way back to Tropical Storm Colin, which some would argue didn't count as a tropical storm, but it certainly was named by the National Hurricane Center. But it's been since then, and that seems like a lifetime ago almost. But we got some activity out here. So let's look at 91L. I can tell you right now, right at this very moment, in an unfavorable time of the day, it was something we call diurnal minimum. It is not doing bad. In fact, I would argue that it's doing better right now than it's probably done over the last 3 or 4 days. It's popping off some high-end convection, and it's looking good. Then you're watching this wave right here. But let's get a little bit closer look at 91L. It's starting, you've been having 2 dominant vortices throughout the last few days, but suddenly it looks like it's trying to consolidate into one piece of energy. So we'll see what this means for the future of this over the next 48 hours. So, but most model guidance does not have this developing from right here to around right here. So it would actually be a surprise if anything does develop here in the next 48 hours. But let's go on and start this. Here it is. You can see it all the way down at the bottom part of your screen down here. We start off by tomorrow morning. Here comes this low pressure. This is the European model. Getting into Thursday morning, not much development. Friday morning, not hardly any development. And then we go all the way to Saturday morning. This coming Saturday, 96 hours out, it gets north of the Leeward Islands, and it's still a weak low pressure, not a named storm. It gets and starts creeping west. I noticed this with the Euro today. It creeps a little bit more west before it eventually turns out to sea. Keep your eyes on Bermuda. Bermuda is that little dot right up here. But still, you get all the way to Labor Day morning. This is still a 1010 millibar low pressure. This is still a tropical wave, basically. But then it finally, and I say finally, but it gets all the way out to next Thursday morning. And really, it never develops this storm. It's pretty incredible, It honestly just completely weakens it out. Right here in the Southwest Atlantic, shear hits this so hard that it dismantles it. You go all the way back, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You go about 6 runs out, 4, it actually was about 4 or 5 runs out, and you have a major hurricane with this. The latest Euro doesn't even develop this anymore. Develops it into nothing. This is 240 hours out. First of all, this is 10 days, and it works all the way from right here just to right here. That's how slow moving it is. But that also tells you that a lot can change still. And I know it feels like we've been talking about this forever, but the Euro doesn't show any development because of basically an upper level low feature down here in the Caribbean that rips it apart. The GFS, strength-wise, which we all know it's very hard to trust the GFS, especially what it just pulled in the Caribbean or what it didn't pull in the Caribbean. Here comes the GFS. We're getting to Friday morning, Saturday morning. We're getting into Sunday morning. You notice it's 1,003 millibar low pressure north of the Leeward Islands. This is starting to get borderline tropical storm per the GFS, the latest GFS, literally the one that just came out. By the time we get into Monday morning, it's an all-out Category 1 hurricane. But notice it's making that turn north. We get into Tuesday morning, it's a 975 millibar low pressure, probably a Category 2 hurricane. And there it goes. It's actually strengthening still. As we get into early Wednesday morning, at its lowest, it's a 960 millibar low pressure. That's flirting, if not, Category 3 status, a major hurricane. But you notice, it turns so abruptly fast here that it actually goes well south of Bermuda and doesn't affect it, and it heads on out to sea. So, nothing. Now we look at the icon. The icon has kind of remained. It's, you get this rolling here. Icon, it's a tropical storm as early as Friday afternoon. It's a strong tropical storm all the way into Monday, Labor Day morning. At this point, I would argue it's a Category 1 hurricane based off the millibar low pressure number. And then it starts to turn. And at this point, it's probably bordering a major hurricane, and it's starting to get very close to Bermuda as we get into around this time next week. So, the Euro doesn't show anything. The GFS shows a run that's well south of Bermuda. And the icon, which isn't necessarily a very respectable model, shows what looks to be a scenario where it will get close to Bermuda. So Bermuda needs to watch out over the next 7 to 10 days. We look at the European ensembles. This goes 1 week out. It shows 91 Invest 91L making it all the way into the Southwest Atlantic. Many members here show, a depression, maybe a tropical storm. Some members show a hurricane. But then you go all the way out 240 hours out, 10 days out. And let's see if this will work for me. Update. Okay, here it is. It's already up. So look at all these that turn. None of these are going into the southeast coastline anymore. None of them. You got this one rogue run that sneaks into the Caribbean. That's not going to happen. But you see this, the European ensembles have many members kind of running right into Bermuda. So it's just something we need to watch out for. And I would argue the stronger members turn quicker. So if it's actually a stronger storm earlier on, that's probably good news for Bermuda. So just something to watch out for. Then there's a signal right here. Here's this other area of interest, but most members have this turning out to sea. And then it has a third wave that shows a little bit of support for it on the ensembles that we watch out for on down the road. But one thing I want to show you guys is there's a feature up here, a stalled piece of energy from a frontal boundary. And, you can look at this too, but watch this little feature way up here in the North Atlantic. There is a big time temperature gradient as far as sea surface temperatures. So what I'm saying is sea surface temperatures are, the 70s to 80s all the way up here. And then there's a stout cutoff right around here where the temperature is substantially cool in the North Atlantic, obviously when you go more north. So there's a chance that Danielle could actually be taken by this feature right here. It's been showing up for a while. But, at this point, it's a tropical storm this coming Saturday afternoon way up here in the North Atlantic. And it's still just it's stalled out. You got a bunch of features out here in the upper levels of the atmosphere that isn't allowing, it's blocking this. So it's sitting here and just churning in one location, and it actually nudges west a little bit. But you stop this Labor Day morning, And this is a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane. Way up here. I mean, I'm talking about, not up to Greenland or anything, but I mean, it's way up here in the North Atlantic. I mean, so that could end up being Danielle when we thought this all along could be Danielle, and it could be. But then you got this wave right here, and then you got another wave that starts to move off the coast of North Africa here. And at the end of the day, this looks like there's a lot going on, but as far as anything to worry about, nothing going on. There really isn't. So going forward, you look at the GFS, and here it is. You look at what happens with 91L. Then you look at this feature here. It kind of does the same thing, but not quite as strong as the Euro. And there's a storm there. But after this, guys, and this goes all the way about 11, 12 days out, nothing shows up in the MDR 10 days out, 10 to 11 days out. No development, nothing. And I mean, this is all the way out to September 10th. We all know the GFS loves showing fantasy hurricanes and these crazy storms really far out. Well, this is September 10th. I would argue that is the literal date for a climatology peak season. And there is nothing out here. I mean, you just see a bunch of moisture. So it is growing more and more likely that unless, and I can tell you, the Atlantic is in a favorable phase too. That's another thing. So it's amazing that I can tell you one thing. This is the biggest reason right here why I don't forecast seasons a season out. I don't do some big old hurricane prediction forecast in like April for the upcoming hurricane season. I don't do some kind of big winter forecast in June for the upcoming winter. A lot of people do that. I would argue most YouTubers do that who do weather, but I don't do it because I don't think we have enough weather history, literally, I just don't think at the end of the day, we just don't know enough. Yes, we can look at, La Nina, El Nino, and try to figure out on average how much snow falls at a specific location in a weak El Nino year, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with the tropics. We can base it off what we know, but I don't think it's enough for especially amateur weather people, and just non-professionals, just weather enthusiasts. We all have our own opinions, right? And it's not a knock on anybody, but I just don't think we know enough to accurately predict a season out. I don't. I can, and I'm going off on a little soap opera here, but I can go all day and I can pretty much say, hey, I think South Carolina's going to get have a really good winter. I think we're going to get, a 3 to 4 inches of snow in Columbia, South Carolina. And honestly, I'm basing that off nothing. I'm basing it off a guess, just a little guess. And if I'm right, I'll look like a superstar, right? So, same thing with hurricane season. Most people, and it's not a knock on the professionals at all. In fact, if you look at all the background and everything leading into this hurricane season, everything pointed to a pretty active hurricane season, but it just hasn't been. Just the dry air, the wave breaking, the upper level lows, just a ton of sheer dry air, and just in the Atlantic Basin, it just really hasn't. But if you look at what's driving all these features, and this is the European, you notice, yes, there is a little bit of weak ridging, in the Atlantic, but I mean, I wouldn't even call it ridging. This is a wide open weakness and basically in the northern Atlantic, just a wide open weakness. So yes, this low pressure right here that has a 40% chance to develop, this 91L invest that we've been talking about, I mean, they especially when they get strong, they're going to move north all day. There's nothing stopping them. There's no big ridge up here at all. There's nothing but a pooling factor. So all these are just going to, even if you do get tropical systems to form out here over the next, I would say, 10 days, I mean, when they get strong enough, they're going to head on out to sea and start to move north. So it's pretty chill out there. Now, I make this video and I say, hey, it's pretty quiet, and it's not really quiet, but there's nothing impactful. There's nothing to worry about. But you could turn around 24, 48 hours from now, suddenly things change. But it's hard to call that a change because it's only 24, 48 hours worth of runs. So, we've had about 3.5, 3 days or whatever of runs of where we're seeing out to sea trends. So I would call that a trend at this point, right? So we'll continue to figure this out. But one area we need to watch for is Bermuda. So, I don't know how many people watch me from Bermuda, but it's certainly an area we need to watch with 91L. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and y'all have a great evening.